Now, technological innovations expand exponentially. For almost all companies, that means keep up or become obsolete. When the likes of BMW, L'Oreal, UPS, or Coca-Cola look to upgrade, they may, and in fact have, turned to NTT DATA Inc. It's a multi-billion-dollar technology company operating in 50 countries that offers expertise in everything from generative AI to 5G to data centers. I spoke with the CEO from his London office. Abhijit Dubey, welcome to the show. First off, let's focus on AI then. Talk to me about generative AI in mimicking human interactions between companies and customers. You're helping big companies like L'Oreal use customer service chatbots. Do customers want to interact with AI agents, and how has the technology improved over the last year?
I think, if you look at the advent of generative AI, it's really changed the paradigm of what's possible. Now we're in an era of what, we call agentic AI, which is sort of, moving from a co-pilot era to more of an autopilot era. And, where AI actually does most of the work with the human in the loop, whereas previously it was human driving, but AI actually in the loop. So, we are in a completely new era. And to your question, whether customers are really looking forward and really embracing this. So in the L'Oreal case that you described, they went from 5 products in the shopping cart that normally would take 6 minutes to getting that within 37 seconds. So clearly that is a reflection of what consumer demand is.
If we are entering the autopilot era, as you describe it then, isn't there a danger that AI assistants are replacing human jobs in retail, travel, and a host of other sectors?
I think, Mark, that is a possibility in the very, very long term. But I think in the short term, if you look at what AI is capable of doing, we still need humans in the loop. We still need humans actually making some of the complex decisions.
Let's turn to digitizing manufacturing now, because there's a huge amount of attention on manufacturing because of the Trump administration's push to bring manufacturing back to the United States. What type of factories are you helping to build?
I would describe sort of the intelligent manufacturing sort of age that we're entering right now as having 2 components. One is, how do we make the factory itself a lot more efficient, a lot more productive, a lot more higher quality, with a lot more throughput and a lot more agility. The other aspect is, how do you integrate the factory operations into other functions within the company, be it design, be it product development, be it supply chain and sourcing of the components. Both of these components are going through a massive transformation, and we call it the new era of intelligent manufacturing. It is, of course, AI and generative AI. It is, of course, robotics. It's, of course, digital twins. I mean, the most extreme form of this would be to get to a model where we have completely autonomous dark factories, where you have almost no humans operating in the factory.
Sounds like an extreme version of smart manufacturing. Is that what manufacturing in the US is going to look like going forwards, do you imagine?
Well, at this point in time, we do know that there is a labor shortage, right? So even if we got all of the manufacturing capacity and the factories built up, in the short term, I don't think we'll be able to fill all the jobs that will be required. So we definitely need to augment that with AI. So one of the projects that we're actually discussing and working on is this notion of a digital John, which is effectively encapsulating the knowledge that John, an actual factory worker who has been there for 20 plus years, has, to be able to create a new virtual worker that can actually do the work, but with the institutional knowledge that John has.
So John would be out of a job?
No, not in the near term, because we will have more net demand for labor than what we have supplied for, or qualified labor that we have supplied for.
So John would need to retrain?
John might need to retrain, and that's true for all knowledge workers within enterprises like ourselves as well.
NTT DATA is working with the CPS using generative AI to help reduce the backlog in the justice system and work more efficiently. What's been the outcome of the project, and is it likely to scale further?
We are very excited about this project. The CPS, or the Crown Prosecution Service, handles about 450,000 cases per year. And obviously, there's a huge backlog. And so generative AI, the way we have applied it, has really helped accelerate the throughput of that and reduce the backlog in the early deployments that we have done. But we have taken a very deliberate approach to balance this acceleration of the case review process with the legal rigor that's required. And that's a really, really important thing to make sure we get right. And the early results have been pretty positive for the civil servants and the prosecutors that have used it. And we're engaging in discussions with the CPS to see how we scale this further.
One solution you offer is private 5G infrastructure. Tell us more about how that works.
Our approach to private 5G is a little bit different than any of the telecom providers that exist. The telecom providers generally take a slice of a publicly available 5G spectrum, that is a consumer 5G, and make it available to an enterprise, in this case, an airport or a port. What we do is we've built a solution from the ground up that is software enabled, and it actually can be deployed within the walls of an enterprise, which makes it completely secure. Now, once you have that connectivity, it can help you do some things that you cannot do today. So for instance, if you take an airport, we have done this for Frankfurt Airport and Cologne Airport as examples. If you take an airport, you can now actually have automated guided vehicles to do baggage handling or passenger transport.
Another area where NTT DATA operates is in data centers, the server warehouses that provide the computing power. These centers use a lot of power and water. Are you working to use less of both?
Absolutely. So we are the world's third largest data center provider, if you exclude the Chinese providers. And so what that means is a lot of the AI providers and the public cloud providers sit in our data centers, so they are our customers. And with the AI workloads now coming in, they are incredibly power hungry. At the basic level, we are innovating with direct-to-chip liquid cooling systems, which we think is the most effective. There are a few others, where effectively what you do is you actually drive liquid straight to the chip, and that's been proven to be the most effective in terms of cooling and reducing the power requirements. We think we have 10x more of those deployments globally than our nearest competitor in the space.
It must be quite a challenge for you, all the power needed despite your innovations for these data centers and squaring it all with NTT DATA's environmental and sustainability goals.
That's absolutely correct, Mark. I mean, we have publicly committed that we will be 100% renewable also in our data centers, while our data center capacity is increasing exponentially year over year. So that is a big challenge. But
wow, when would you get to that point by?
2030. That is our target. And that's a very aggressive target, and it's more aggressive than any of the other players in the industry.
Is it going well?
It is going well. We actually have, I think, upwards of 37% already right now.
NTT DATA is a global company. Are you being impacted by tariffs?
I think not until now. So obviously the direct impact to our business is minimal because we don't deal with goods. We are a services company and an infrastructure company. We think that there is obviously going to be an impact for manufacturing companies, for CPG companies, for retail companies, automotive companies, etc. But right now, everybody's sort of in this wait and see attitude because it's not quite clear what the end result is going to be. And while they're in that phase, obviously projects get stopped, especially the discretionary projects. So the worst thing, of course, is the uncertainty. So the faster we can get through this period of uncertainty, the better it is for everybody.
As long as the uncertainty lasts, I would imagine many of your clients are being hit, especially in the automotive industry, and that is presumably likely to impact their use of consultancy technology firms like yours.
That is absolutely correct. So we are looking at what this means for discretionary IT spend of customers within these categories and whether they might actually put a pause on these types of projects. But on the other hand, it also accelerates the need for cost efficiency and productivity.
Abhijit, NTT Group invests $3.6 billion in innovation. What are you most excited about that's in the pipeline?
Oh, so many different things. There is this whole notion of how do we revolutionize communications and data center infrastructure to drive down power consumption and water consumption. Space computing, we may run out of space on the Earth that has the required amount of power to power these data centers in a sustainable way. And so we have partnered with JSAT, JapanSat, to perhaps to be able to build space data centers, edge data centers in space. And of course, in the AI space, we are rapidly moving from this model of a co-pilot to an sort of an autopilot. So where, an AI agent does specific tasks to AI agents can do things autonomously. So I do believe 2025 and 2026 will be the inflection points for agentic AI that can drive a lot more things autonomously.
You've got an engineering background. Do you think you'd be able to swing yourself a trip in one of these new space rockets to go up there and check on those data centers if there's a problem?
Perhaps in the future at some point, yes.
All right, well, maybe you will in the future. Abhijit Dubey, thank you very much for joining us on Talking Business.
Thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate it.